Could we make life that doesn't need water? It's a question that sounds like science fiction, but it's also a question that makes you think about what life really is. We see life on Earth. All of it needs water. Every plant, every animal, every tiny microbe, water is everywhere in living things. It's a big part of what makes them work. So, to even ask about life without water means we have to rethink a lot of things. We have to think about what life needs at its very core. We have to look at how water helps life here and then imagine a different way. It's not just about swapping one liquid for another, it's about changing the fundamental chemistry. It's a massive challenge. Let's start with why water is so important for life as we know it. Water is special. It's a molecule with a positive end and a negative end. We call this polar. This polarity makes it a great solvent. It can dissolve so many different things. Sugars, salts, proteins, they all need to dissolve to move around in a cell and react with each other. Without water, these important ingredients would just sit there. They wouldn't mix. They wouldn't react efficiently. Water also has a high heat capacity. This means it takes a lot of energy to heat it up or cool it down. This is crucial for living things. It keeps their internal temperature stable. A cell full of water doesn't suddenly boil or freeze. It can handle changes in the outside world much better. This stability is key for all the delicate machinery inside. Then there's cohesion and adhesion. Water molecules like to stick to each other. That's cohesion. They also like to stick to other things. That's adhesion. These properties are why water can move up tall trees. It's why droplets form. It helps with transport. It helps maintain structures. Water is also a direct participant in many chemical reactions. It's not just a bystander. In photosynthesis, plants use water to make food. In our bodies, water is used to break down food. It's a reactant, it's a product, it's part of the chemical dance of life, and it gives cells shape. It creates turgor pressure in plants, making them stand up. It fills our cells. It's the bulk of us. It helps proteins fold into their correct shapes. Without water, proteins might unfold. They wouldn't work anymore. Life would stop. So water does a lot. It's a solvent, a temperature buffer, a transport system, a chemical reactant, and a structural component. It's deeply woven into the fabric of Earth life. Now imagine life without it. What would take its place? This is where the really hard thinking starts. If we want to create life that doesn't need water, we need to find something else that can do all those jobs. Or we need to design life that doesn't need those jobs done in the same way. The first thing people often think about is a different liquid, a different solvent. Like, what liquids are out there that could host life? Ammonia is one idea. It's found in space, it's polar, a bit like water. It can dissolve some things, but liquid ammonia exists at much colder temperatures than water. We're talking about conditions like on Saturn's moon Titan, but even colder for pure ammonia to be liquid. Life in ammonia would need to be very different. Its chemical reactions would run much slower in the cold. It would need to be made of molecules that stay stable and reactive at those low temperatures. Proteins and DNA, as we know them, wouldn't work there. They'd just freeze solid or be too brittle. Then there are hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. These are liquids on Titan. They are not polar, they don't dissolve the same kinds of things. Water does, they could dissolve fats and oils. But the building blocks of Earth life, like amino acids and sugars, are polar. They wouldn't dissolve well in methane or ethane. So any life in these liquids would need entirely different chemistry. It would need a different way to store information, a different way to build structures, a different way to get energy. Titan has lakes of methane. We are sending probes there. But even if life existed there, it would be extremely alien to us. Its fundamental chemistry would be unrecognizable. Sulfuric acid is another option some people consider. On Venus, there are clouds of sulfuric acid. It's a very strong acid. It's very reactive. It could be a solvent for some types of chemistry, but again, it's very corrosive to organic molecules like ours. Any life forms in sulfuric acid would need protective coatings. They would need a different set of chemicals that can withstand and thrive in such harsh conditions. Their internal chemistry would have to be incredibly robust. Formamide is another molecule. It's polar, like water. It can dissolve many organic compounds. It's liquid over a good temperature range, even wider than water. Some scientists think it could have been important in the origins of life on Earth, but it's less common than water. It's also more reactive in some ways. Building a whole ecosystem around formamide as the primary solvent would still be a monumental task. We don't see it in huge quantities anywhere naturally as a solvent for life. And what about molten salts, or supercritical fluids like carbon dioxide? These are even more extreme. Molten salts exist at very high temperatures. Imagine life in a pool of liquid salt. Its molecules would have to be incredibly heat resistant. Its chemical reactions would be extremely fast. Supercritical fluids are not really liquid or gas. They exist at very specific pressures and temperatures. They act as good solvents, but again, the chemistry would be completely different. It would be hard to maintain life in such specific conditions without the whole system falling apart. So, just replacing the solvent is a huge hurdle. It means changing almost every other molecule in the living system. It's not a simple swap, but it's not just about the solvent. What about the other roles of water? How would metabolism work? On Earth, our enzymes need water to function. They are built to work in a watery environment. They use water in their reactions. If there's no water, enzymes might not fold correctly. They might not be able to bind to their targets. Reactions might slow down to a crawl. We might need entirely new classes of catalysts, things that work in methane or ammonia or sulfuric acid. These catalysts would need to be made of different atoms. They would need different shapes. This is designing life from the ground up. And what about structure? Cells are mostly water. It gives them their volume and shape. Without water, what would hold them up? Could they be solid state life forms? Like a living rock? That sounds very strange. Reactions would be incredibly slow. How would nutrients move around? How would waste be removed? Maybe they could use some other type of fluid or gas to maintain pressure. Or maybe they build rigid mineral structures. Imagine a silicon-based creature that's more like a crystal. Its metabolism would need to happen on surfaces. Its growth would be very slow. Its movement would be limited. Then there's genetic information. DNA, our blueprint, uses water in its structure. Its double helix is stabilized by water molecules. DNA replication and repair enzymes also need water. If we remove water, DNA might fall apart. It might not be able to copy itself. So any water-free life would need a completely different way to store and transmit genetic information. Could it be silicon-based life? People often talk about silicon as an alternative to carbon. Silicon is in the same chemical group as carbon. It can form long chains, but there are big differences. Silicon-oxygen bonds are very strong. Think about silicon dioxide, which is sand. It's a hard, inert solid. Carbon dioxide is a gas. This difference is huge. Carbon can cycle easily through an atmosphere. Silicon doesn't. Silicon-hydrogen bonds are also very reactive. They break down easily in the presence of water or oxygen. So, silicon-based life would need to exist in an environment without these things. And silicon bonds are weaker than carbon bonds. This makes long, stable silicon chains harder to form. Even if silicon could form complex organic molecules, they would likely be much larger and heavier. Their chemistry would happen at much higher temperatures. Imagine living things that only work at temperatures hot enough to melt rock. This changes everything. Perhaps life doesn't need to be based on carbon or silicon. Maybe phosphorus could be a backbone, or sulfur, but each choice brings its own set of chemical challenges. It would require a deep understanding of how to build complex, self-replicating, evolving systems from scratch. When we talk about creating this kind of life, we are talking about synthetic biology on an unprecedented scale. We aren't just tweaking existing life, we are inventing entirely new biochemistry. We would need to identify a new solvent, then we'd need to find molecules that are stable and reactive in that solvent. We'd need to design new polymers that can store information. We'd need new catalysts to speed up reactions. We'd need new ways to capture energy and use it. It's like building an entire computer system, but from atoms, with no instructions. We'd start small, maybe try to get a few simple reactions to happen in a non-water solvent, then try to get those reactions to link up, then try to get them to self-replicate. It would be a step-by-step process taking decades, maybe centuries, and each step would be incredibly difficult. We'd also need to think about the energy requirements. On Earth, photosynthesis uses water. If there's no water, how does life get energy from light? Could it use other compounds? Could it draw energy from chemical gradients in a different solvent or from geothermal heat? This journey is not just about making a weird microbe. It's about fundamentally understanding what life is. Is water truly essential for all life or just for the life we know? Some scientists believe water is uniquely suited for life. They point to its specific properties, its high surface tension, its ability to form hydrogen bonds. The fact that ice floats, which insulates water bodies and prevents them from freezing solid from the bottom up. These properties seem almost too perfect for life to evolve. This makes it seem like water is not just a good choice, but perhaps the only choice for complex, evolving life. But this is an argument from what we know. It's hard to imagine something you've never seen. Our understanding of life is limited to one example, Earth life. Every single experiment we've ever done on living systems has involved water. Our tools, our models, our very way of thinking about biology are all soaked in water. So, when we try to think about life without water, we are pushing against a huge wall of existing knowledge. We have to be open to completely different paradigms. It might be possible, but it would be life unlike anything we have ever conceived. It wouldn't just be an alien, it would be a chemical alien. Its cells, its metabolism, its very essence would be fundamentally different. The pursuit of this idea, even if it seems impossible, is valuable. It forces us to ask deep questions. It makes us look for life beyond Earth in new ways. If we only search for water-based life, we might miss something completely different. It broadens our horizons. It also helps us understand our own life better. By trying to imagine a world without water, we learn to appreciate just how amazing water is. We see how perfectly it fits the needs of the biology we know. We understand its roles more deeply. The short answer to the question, could we create life that doesn't need water, is maybe. It's a huge maybe. It would require us to invent chemistry and biology from the ground up. It would mean breaking all our assumptions about what life needs. It would be a scientific achievement beyond anything we've done so far. But the question itself is important. It's a thought experiment that stretches the boundaries of science. It reminds us that our understanding of life is incomplete. There might be other ways for life to exist in places and forms we can barely imagine. And exploring those possibilities is what science is all about. It's about pushing the edge of what we know and what we think is possible. And perhaps one day we will make a small, simple organism that exists happily in a beaker of liquid ammonia or some other strange brew. It won't look like anything we know. It won't act like anything we know. But it will be alive in its own way without a single drop of water. It would be a testament to the sheer adaptability of matter and energy to organize itself. It would show us that the universe is even stranger and more wonderful than we currently understand. And that's a powerful reason to keep asking these big, difficult questions. It shows us that life isn't just one thing. It's a universe of possibilities.